What is up, A3 friends? Welcome into Attacking Third. I'm your host, Darian Jenkins, joined by Beattie and Sandra Herrera. We have a jam-packed show for you today. Not only are we coming off of Benito Bowl Sunday, but also we have big transfer news in Europe. We're going to give you a little preview of the Women's Champions League starting again tomorrow, the round of 16, as well as take a look at the WSL and what is going on at the top of the table over there. Whether you're listening here on YouTube as a podcast or with us on GalazoNet, we appreciate it so much. Jump in the chat and make sure you let us know your thoughts. Now, ladies, I just said we're fresh off of Benito Bowl, and I absolutely loved it. I think I've watched the halftime performance 5 times. It was 13 minutes long. I was emotional watching it. I was up dancing. It was all the vibes we need right now. But I was kind of thinking, what was your guys' favorite part of the Super Bowl, whether it was Benito Bowl or the actual game? I didn't even know who was playing. And if you were in the NFL, what position do you think you'd be best primed for? Jen, I know you're not like the American football guru, but you know a little bit about it. Yeah. I know you watched the Super Bowl. So I want to start with you. Your favorite part of the Super Bowl, as well as where do you think you would be on the pitch if you played?
Okay, I will be brutally honest. Halftime show, and that was as far as I went with watching. Even when I used to live in Europe, I say Europe as if it's the whole thing. In England, I meant. I remember even when the Super Bowl was happening, the next day I would be first on YouTube to rewatch the halftime show. It was always such a huge thing that everyone spoke about. So we did go to a Super Bowl party with our neighbors, but guys, I was locked in at the halftime, and that was about it. It was absolutely incredible, and I'm not surprised at all, Dee, that you've been racking up those YouTube views. Yeah, no surprise whatsoever. He was absolutely amazing. Loved every second of it. Position. I feel like I'd definitely be on the defense. Let's be honest. I don't know. What are those people that stop going to the quarterbacks?
A linebacker? Lineman?
Linebacker.
Yeah, linebacker. I think you'd be a good linebacker. Actually.
Edge rushers? Phil in the chat saying edge rushers.
How do you feel about I was going to say, if you don't feel great about your recovery, I wouldn't say like safety or strong safety or anything like that. So definitely like edge rusher, like just on the line and go.
I would be like, you're not getting to the quarterback and I'm going to stop you.
There you go.
Is that?
You want to be on the offensive line. You want to protect the quarterback?
Ooh, right. Yeah, this is how much I understand football.
You know what? As a center back, I could see it.
Maybe that. I'd be on the offense, but I'd be the one that stopped the people getting to the quarterback.
I like that.
My brain saw that as defense, which shows how much I know.
In a way, on offense.
Yeah. So I'd be offense, but I'd be stopping the main person.
I'm stopping the main person. I love that you went to Jen first. Smart.
I'd be protect the QB for sure.
That's good hosting right there. Yeah, I don't know. I would. You know what, Jen? If you are protecting the QB, I think I want to be the QB.
Oh,
Sandra, yes. You know what, Sandra? People in the chat are saying Sandra is definitely a quarterback. 1,000%.
Let's go, gang.
See, then if Sandra's the QB, 100%, I want to be protecting Sandra.
Yeah, please.
No one's
not to be not to act like a pimp in sheep's clothing, but I would not want to be hit. So please, I'd be like, hold on a second. No, I'm with you though, dude. Like, look, Chicago has had a great run through the playoffs, but once they were out of it, I had no emotional investment. I was like, who cares? It's all about Bad Bunny and Benito Bowl. It was awesome to watch his show, just like very emotional at times. Great stuff, great messaging. Who among us doesn't love unity? If you don't, you're a weirdo. And I just love that there was just a lot of that in his performance, and it was cool to just like kind of watch it from just like a just neutral point of view instead of like full of anxiety or anything like that. Didn't have a horse in the race. But it was also kind of just cool to be able to cover it too, like in a media aspect. So just like you could just feel like watching it. It was just like a very like relevant cultural moment. And that's just sort of what I walked away with from that. Good stuff. And like, this is where we got to talk about like, NWSL halftime show win. Like, that's it's like we do this every year. It's like, hey, speaking of
Benito, please come be at the NWSL halftime show or Dochi. Those are my top two. Those are my asks. Guys, also, if you're listening, you're watching, Sandra wrote a beautiful article on CBS Sports. Go check it out. Benito Bowl. Very well said. Music transcends everything, as does football. My favorite part was seeing Caribbean Social Club owner from Bulacan, Tonita, there with Bad Bunny at the
amazing.
Super Bowl, serving drinks. Like, that's somewhere I've been in Brooklyn. It's sick. Blow up the spot. I absolutely love it.
I've seen the reactions to that as well. Amazing. Like people watching that and then understanding that that's actually a place, and it was just amazing.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part is understanding the whole performance.
Yeah, love that he had like sub representation within the representation. Is like the from New York. It's like the gentleman leading the orchestra was from Chicago. He's Chicago shot here, like, and then like LA taco vendors. Like, it was like very, very cool. But wait, no, you're not at the hook, D.
I know.
Where are you?
I'm glad you brought that back.
Oh, on the pitch.
Bring it back.
You know, I think I would be a receiver, like the guys that stand with like their arms crossed and take off and like run the plays and try to catch the ball.
I didn't want.
I would be in for the celebrations. Like I've got a list of I
didn't want to assume, but I was going to you every time. Let's go.
So I'm stopping people get Sandra, then Sandra's throwing it to you, and we're all on the offense.
We're all
Sandra's
celebrating.
calling
I'm
the
leading
plays. Sandra's calling the plays like D down the lane.
Yeah,
we're winning. Great, I love it.
This team makes a lot of sense. I'm glad that we broke that down.
I'm so glad everybody joined us to talk about this kind of football today. It's very, very funny. Just kidding.
I know. Well, that's enough of the American football. Let's jump over to the real football, shall we? Because there's some big news over in Europe. And some of the biggest being Sonia Bompastor extends with Chelsea to 2030. Now, this comes as a surprise to a lot of people. A lot of people are thinking, no, we're not shocked. This makes a lot of sense. I'm like, did the Portland Thorns even try to hire her? Did they know that she was up for grabs? Did they put in an offer? Because I think that would have been a great move, but we're staying in Europe. She's staying with the team. Sandra, how are we feeling about Sonia locking in with Chelsea for more years to come?
I respect it. I won't say it makes me feel great, just because, like, as someone who's found themselves rooting for the Blues in the past, it's a moment of transition that folks, I think, aren't used to. Anytime the low moments are low, you're gonna feel low with it. But I also sort of feel in recent Chelsea history, this isn't too brand new. We saw them kind of go through some, adverse moments, last season, and still found their ways through them. But I think when you look at a re-signing like this or an extension like this for a coach, it just sort of it's a stabilizing factor. At the very least, it's like, this is going to be the coach leading the team for X amount of years, and I respect it in the sense where she's coming at this. You could sort of see the former player jump out of her at times.
Yeah,
when she's kind of addressing any of the calls for change or the calls for the hot seat or how high is that temperature, and she's just like, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because to your earlier kind of quip or point, Darian, it's like this is pro business. This is pro sporting business. It's poaching. Like anybody can poach. Anybody can put some feelers out there. And yeah, she's correct when she says, yeah, go ahead. You need to move on from me.
I love that.
Yeah,
I kind of love that attitude. I think it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but I'm like, the way that women's football is, it's a legitimate business. You're going to go where you're wanted, where you can make an impact that fits best for you. And I like that you put it too, Sandra. Like, the former player came out like, yeah, do it. I'll be okay. Yeah. I'll figure it out. I've got the pedigree to do what I want.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you still want this? And of course they did. Jen, you're smirking over there. Do you have kind of the similar sentiment with that?
Yeah, I do. And I also think that, especially in England, I think we've seen the likes of Gareth Taylor, be sacked from Man City. There's been a lot that is coming into this phase of the standard is now set higher for managers. Because I think the pressure is now on players, and the exposure, growth of the game, everything now equates to managers. Sonia Bompastor, I think, is up there with Mark Skinner now as one of the longest standing managers in the WSL, which is kind of crazy because that means it's really short.
Very
right? Short. So that for me is, I love her comments because I think she understands that, right? She understands the way the world that women's football is in now, that what Chelsea now demands is performances and results and everything that comes along with that, trophies. She's been there, done it with Leon. That's why I kind of love her and why she has that attitude. She knows she can achieve that. And look, at the end of the day, she had a phenomenal first season, and I think this is her first dip, and I think she still backs her team. She still backs her philosophy. And I was no surprise whatsoever to see that extension. I kind of love the way she comes across.
I do too.
Press conferences. She has this really lovely balance of confidence, but still personal that you can kind of get and understand. So no, I wasn't surprised whatsoever. I think Chelsea have a lot of injuries. I think a dip was kind of bound to happen. You can't be unbeaten forever.
Yeah.
And 2 games back to back in the WSL, okay, not great. But they brought it back already. They won it the weekend. I think they've still got so much quality in that dressing room. And I still think she's, from an outsider's perspective, right? No one really knows the inside info of what it's like to be managed by her. But I still think she's been so successful. And it's a great move from Chelsea extending her.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what else she does. But that's not the only move that Chelsea has made.
Yeah.
As of today,
yeah,
Paul Green has left his role as head of women's football at Chelsea. Now, from my understanding, Paul Green is somebody that's been a part of what we know of Chelsea women's football DNA, the most winningest team, the most successful, bringing in depth, talent from all over the world, developing this into one of the stalwarts of what it means to be a professional women's football club globally. What does this mean, Jen? I mean, you're kind of the one that's played over there that has a little bit more familiarity with his role and what he actually did for this club. What does this change mean for Chelsea?
It means you have, I mean, let's be honest, he was there 13 years, and I think he was the face of recruitment that has led Chelsea to where it is now. And I think recruitment has been absolutely everything. I think Chelsea have, I can say, dominated the domestic field of English football for the best part of 10 years. I think, their back-to-back seasons, you can't ignore any of that. When you think of Paul Green, you have to also think of Emma Hayes, that duo of what they built at Chelsea, of working together. And also, I always say this, how many GMs do you know that have left the role and you've seen an abundance of players speak out so positively? I think is so rare. So when you have the likes of Sam Kerr, Millie Bright, Frank Kirby, all of these top players that have worked under them for so long, Guru Wright, and there you go, that have been players at Chelsea for a number of years, not just a couple of seasons. So they've seen, and as a player, you never really know the ins and outs, but when you were there and involved and you see the recruitment, you see the operations, you know the people that are being employed at a staff level, you see the physios, you see the trainers, you see the coaches, absolutely everyone. And in women's football world, guys, that's a small world. You have quite an easy contact to Paul Green. So I think these kind of roles are undervalued, but I think what he's done and the amount of people that have spoken out at how gutted they are to see him leave, for me, speaks everything you would need to know about who this guy is, what he represents, the culture he's built, the players he's brought in, how he's treated them when they are brought in, the contract negotiations, absolutely everything. So I think he'll be a big miss to Chelsea. I don't think there's any correlation to what Bompastor was saying about recruitment to then this. I don't think there's a connection there. I think he will be really sorely missed at Chelsea, but what a phenomenal job he has done building the club alongside other people. Of course, it's not been just him, but it's opened up a gap for Chelsea to refill, to be honest, when it comes to recruitment and who they're bringing in and keeping that sustained success, which is what this club is built on.
Yeah, I'm glad you sort of touched on that a little bit, like how there's more of a disconnect there, between the extension for Bompastor and his departure. That's a lot of times the optics don't look great, and a lot of times when the optics don't look great, like that likely means that it's just maybe something that has been ongoing or in discussions. I mean, like when you look at Chelsea as kind of like this entity, like we're talking about like changes maybe in DNA, culture shifts. I mean, you're looking at a club just as a brand, like, and you're looking at these next steps, like, are these just like Clear Lake decisions, the majority ownership entity, firm, like, are they just trying to make these decisions, moving forward? And those are, when you kind of like bring that layer into it, it's like, yeah, those things, there's probably more of a disconnect there than an actual connection between an extension versus a departure. But to all your points, Jen, I mean, there's no doubt that this departure, like, you're looking for that next step, like, where is this going to mean for Paul, and where is he going to go next, and who's going to snatch him up?
Also, what does this mean for the players that are on the cusp of, contracts expiring, or they have expired? What does this mean for another new era of Chelsea? We saw that Emma Hayes to Sonia Bompastor, now Paul Green to, what does this mean for everybody else? I think we're going to see a lot of change.
Yeah, I mean, I know Chelsea have their sporting directors, so that will still be in place for that. But you're spot on. Who will replace them? Or is his role being diffused elsewhere? Don't know, but time will tell.
Time will tell. Well, we'll be here to report on it as soon as we know. But ladies, in other news, one that I'm particularly excited and like questioning is Madonna was at the Spurs U14 match as her daughters are playing with Tottenham's academy. And they ended up playing Chelsea, and she is a soccer mom. She was on the sidelines taking photos, cheering them on. Are you guys loving this kind of crossover we're seeing with a global pop star at the academy, with like putting her kids in the academy?
I do. I love it. That's the kind of stuff you want to see. Like, as like women's sports, a business that continues to grow, like, these are going to be those like significant like pop culture moments that like people point at it and say, like, look at this crossover, like, look at this, how this world is bleeding into that world, and vice versa. I know we had good laughs about it too, and we were all reacting to it. I definitely had a moment where I was just like, oh girl, why Spurs? Like,
why Spurs? Also, is she like driving a minivan? Does she have the orange slices?
Yeah.
Is she that type of soccer mom? Maybe we can get her on the pod. I don't know.
Yeah, let's bring her. What's your favorite Madonna song, Jen?
Oh my goodness.
Oh no. Too deep of a question.
Material Girl.
That's a great one.
Yeah. She was kind of before my time.
Same.
She was before everybody's.
Let's see what the chat's saying. I want to see what the chat's saying.
Chat, what's your favorite Madonna song if you have one?
Let us know what your favorite Madonna song is.
Yeah.
I love Vogue.
I love that. Vogue as well. Great.
Do you know what I loved? Yeah, that was. Do you know what I loved about it? When I saw her at the women's game, and I was like, oh, where's this come from? And group chats were popping off, and I was like, oh, our kids play in the academy. I was like, my first thought was, we have academies now. Like, this can actually happen on the women's side. I was like, in my day, we didn't have an academy, and this is so cool that like people's kids can now go to girls' academy. I was like, this is awesome. Every part of this is amazing. Apart from the Spurs bit, Sandra.
Questionable in the Spurs. Just kidding, Spurs fans.
Sorry. Don't come for us.
Yeah, I don't want the smoke. I don't want the smoke. But also in other news, NBA All-Star legend Giannis is a new minority in Chelsea. Chelsea's racking up celebrity ownership, might I add. Chelsea, I feel like, is the angel city of the WSL, where it's like celebrity, major corporation, celebrity. I love that high-profile athletes are investing back into sport, and especially women's sports, especially women's football. Are you guys hyped that we kind of keep seeing these higher-profile people investing into major clubs like this?
I want more of it. Honestly, I love. Look, I know we're having fun with Madonna, and I know conceptually, like, who doesn't want to see like an incredible musician or incredible like an actor, sitting on the sidelines. But there's something about like the pro athlete crossover, I think, that hits a little different. Like, there's always that relatability, I think, when you think athlete to athlete, So, I'm loving it. I want to see more of it, and I think we are already seeing a lot of it, and I know we'll see more of it. I mean, Caleb Williams, I think, also like bought into Boston Legacy, a little while back.
Yeah.
So we're definitely seeing that athlete to athlete crossover for sure.
Yeah, all positive for me. No notes, nothing to add. I think it's awesome. I think any investment, is great to see put back into the game. And I think it just filters down to everyone as well. So it's like a ripple effect. As soon as you see one high profile person, I think that just, I don't know, it just breeds positivity about what everyone's doing, and it's awesome. So I have no notes and thoughts. That was my only add-on.
I'd love to see it for like other clubs too, but I think that's part of it, right? Like you get like one of the really high profile athletes going with like a high profile club, and it's like before you know it, like who knows? Like maybe you get like a middle profile, athlete like going with like a middle profile club. Like, there's
maybe we'll see like the Wrexham story on the women's side in some way.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see it. Let's go.
Come on, everybody, invest. You've got money. Throw it in there. We're here for it. We'll report on it. We have much more to report on, though. We are staying in Europe. We're going to be talking about Women's Champions League starting tomorrow and Thursday after this quick break. So stick with us.
This is European soccer's biggest stage.
Written in the stars! What a difference she has made!
The question is, can you handle it? Can you handle it? The crowd here feels electric. Stream every match of the UEFA Women's Champions League on Paramount+.
Hey friends, welcome back into Attacking Third. All right, let's get into Women's Champions League. The playoff knockout rounds start tomorrow. First kicking off is OH Leuven against Arsenal starting at 12:45 Eastern, as well as Paris FC playing Real Madrid. Thursday match is arguably one of the biggest is Wolfsburg versus Juventus at 12:45 p.m. Eastern and Atletico Madrid versus Manchester United at 3 p.m. Eastern. All on CBS Sports. You will see our faces there chopping it up about the game. And of course, you'll hear us on Friday after this wraps up, and we will talk about it once again with this same crew. All right, let's take a first look, though, at the marquee game for me that I'm really excited to see, which is two-time UWCL champions Wolfsburg taking on Juventus. I think this is one of the biggest matches because Wolfsburg have been very inconsistent, looking to get back into that top-tier level, not just in the Frauen Bundesliga, but also in the Champions League. They have the talent, but to me, even watching their game domestically this last week, so inconsistent defensively.
Yeah.
Like, massive gaps, yes. And if I'm Juventus and the talent that this side has, seeing how they matched up against Lyon, when they played the game tactically very well, they're unstoppable. Yeah. And I'm looking at this as thinking this could be the time for Juventus to knock out the German giants. I don't know if you guys feel different about that. I think this is the game for Juventus that they're going to be able to do it.
They have the capability for sure. I mean, they held their own up against the best, right? They had almost an incredible result against Lyon. They know if they play a certain way and stay tight, and whether they'll sit in that mid block, we'll see. But what I love about these teams, well, not for themselves, but you kind of touched on it already. Defensively, both can concede a lot of goals. So whether we see that or not, will for me that just breeds an exciting game. And
you're here for the drama.
Yeah, I am. I'm here for the drama. When no Arsenal's involved, I'm like,
let's go. Let's go. No, on paper, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be the one, right? Like, surely we're gonna get like the goals in this game. Like, we're gonna be watching with heads on a swivel because one's gonna throw a punch, one's gonna throw another. But I don't know if that's actually gonna be the case. I get a little nervy knowing that like the fact that these are two teams that have conceded some things that they're gonna present similar shapes, or tactics. So I do wonder if this is going to be a little bit more of a, I don't want to say snoozer, but maybe more tight, closely contested, nail biter kind of vibe. But I hope it's not, because for me, when I look at this game, this is like the prove it game.
Yeah.
This is like the show me what you got, because whoever makes it out of this next one going into those quarters, it's like you're automatically going to be considered the underdog. Like, full stop. So it's like, this is the game, like whoever comes out of this one, it's like, this is the one where you're just like, you have to show that you're just going to actually be that underdog, kind of dark horse contender. Like, you got to solidify it in this game for me.
Well, I think it's going to be drama. I think high scoring. I'm actually giving Juventus the up. Looking at whoever wins this knockout rounds between these two matches goes on to play Lyon.
Yeah.
When I look at how Juventus played Lyon, although just for a half, it was great. If they can extend that to 80 minutes, they can get that done. And I think the way that they were able to pick apart Lyon, who is better defensively than Wolfsburg, in my opinion, they're going to be able to do it against a Wolfsburg who looked still unorganized on the weekend for me. So I'm here for the drama. I'm rocking with Juve. It's not Jen. I feel like you're rocking with Wolfsburg.
I'm loving that Girelli versus Pop legendary matchup. That is so true. Two icons of the Italian and German leagues. Can't wait for that. Who am I going for? You know what? I've just been loving Beerenstein for Wolfsburg. I think as long as you have someone like that can, if Juventus do come out a little bit and leave that bit of space, she's just been such a threat. And that between Beerenstein and Pop, if you've got both of them on their game, I'm not sure. Am I going with Wolfsburg? They just have more experience at this level. Juventus have been my underdogs. I don't know if I need to keep.
Yeah, what aren't they your dark?
Are you gonna shift? Is this a shift? I'll go Wolfsburg. I'm Wolfsburg.
Listen,
if you want to stay loyal,
Andrew, you are.
Yeah, look.
I'm just saying that Beerenstein is a baller.
Beerenstein is a baller, and if that is going to be the matchup that folks are looking at in Girelli and Pop, like that means it's going to be time for others to shine. And I think Beerenstein is a good shout. I think Ming is another really good shout. I want to have see this player have a good game, and maybe that's where it's gonna happen right there in that middle third. Like who's gonna actually take control and not only set that tempo but keep it going throughout the game. So I think I don't know. I just sort of feel like Wolfsburg, they surprised maybe they surprised some folks during the league phase a bit with some of their really early success and how they were kind of flirting with a top 4 spot. Obviously fell out of that, but I think because of that they were sort of given a little bit of that underdog kind of energy, and that like people maybe, even though they had all this history behind them in this competition, that folks looked at them in this present form and were like, they might do something, but not really. And that's why for me this game is like that's why for me this game is like the one where you just kind of have to quiet all that.
It's like the meme with the question marks of like, I actually, they might. There was a lot of like questionable.
Yeah. Like,
the head tilts.
Yeah,
they might.
We're really not sure. I mean, both of these teams have only had one clean sheet in the league phase.
Which
either ways, we're getting goals. Maybe
that's equals drama. Yeah,
I feel like every time we big a game up like that, it ends up being 0-0 over 2 times.
Oh, I know, we're jinxing it right now.
I will say that's always the gameplay though, when it's over 2 legs and Juventus are away first. If they can, going to Wolfsburg is a very hard place to go and play. The fans are amazing. That place is loud. So if Juventus can keep a clean sheet or keep a low score and then bring it back home, that's a nice setup for them.
So Jen, are you reminiscing on your power header? Was that at Wolfsburg?
No, the header was at home. We played away first. Then brought it home and I couldn't get over the line.
Iconic. I remember covering that. I think that was one of my first shows with CBS.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It was trucked. It was Pop as well, wasn't it?
That fell over.
Yeah.
Jen,
iconic. Brilliant header. So she's got the experience. Okay. 2 Juve, 1.
Need our social team to cue that up for sure.
Yeah. Roll the clip.
Yeah.
Oh, I can watch that over and over again. All right. Well, there is another match on Thursday, Atletico Madrid versus Man United. And this is a matchup we also saw on the league phase, a match day 2. United come out with a win with a Rolfo header. United have very narrow wins in the league phase as well, just winning by a 1-goal margin. This team is very stout defensively, and they've also brought in some players in Schuler and Lundqvist that I think are massive for them, because the big question mark for me coming into this Champions League for Man United, their first Champions League, was, do they have the depth to do it? If a couple players go down, they're competing for a title in the WSL. There's just a lot of things going on that you have to rotate. Is their level going to drop? And I think with these additions in those players going against an Atletico Madrid who has not done well at home in this Champions League, this could be United's game. I am actually very confident that United are going to be able to get this done and move on to the next round. But I don't know if you guys feel different about how Atletico Madrid has showed up.
I mean,
I think. Go ahead, Jen.
Go ahead, Sandra. No, you go.
I was just gonna say, I think thinking going back into my memory bank of the vibes of when the draw happened. It's okay, what are some silver linings here for Atletico? Specifically familiarity. In terms of the league phase game, it was a loss, but a narrow one. At that, there's plenty of silver linings for them to pluck out of that and maybe carry with them into the stage, but. That being said, it's yes, you've played this team before. You maybe had a respectable, scoreline to come out of it, even though it was a loss. And you want to say that those are still silver linings and that you've got that familiarity, but these are two completely different teams, in terms of their current form right now. I would almost argue that Man United is better than who they were on match day 2.
Yeah, 5-match win streak. That's massive for their confidence, Jen.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And also they had a really, really hard start. Tough fixture. So they well and truly grew into confidence in this competition, which is what I love about them. I think Mark Skinner has done a phenomenal job with a young team. And I think, Darian, you touched on it. Our whole conversations were around they have done so well in their first season in Champions League. Who are they going to bring? Who are they going to bring in? Who are they going to sign? Because they had to strengthen. And you're spot on. I think we all know how good Lundqvist was in the NWSL last season. What a signing she's been, and starting straight away. Leah Schuler as well, got straight into the team. So those are the kind of strengthens that I think United really needed. And we'll see if it pays off in Champions League, how far they can get in the competition. But I think based on form, I think Man United, I agree with you, Sandra, are going to take this one. Obviously, 2 big games coming up, but I like that the club has backed them with who they brought in. I think they needed the depth. I think Jess Park's been in and out fitness-wise, and she's so key. We've loved watching her as well, just in terms of creativity in that final third and link-up play with the players up top. So really key going into these 2 games, because Atletico, they're another top side. You don't get to this phase by luck. So, but yeah, what a matchup.
And Man United have our girl, Fallon Tullis-Joyce. Someone in the comments said when Fallon puts her cape on, where did the cape come from?
I don't know.
I think maybe it's a shout out to I think one of her marine biology videos. I think she might have had a character in there. Maybe someone, I'm sure someone in the chat could correct me. Maybe I'm misremembering. I'm not too sure.
Please let us know. I'm what did I miss? Because if she's got a superhero thing, I want to shout it out. When I look at these 2 teams, though, to me, Atletico, I know you guys like to geek out on tactics as much as I do. When I look at Atletico, this is a team that just has been so inconsistent and hasn't been able to measure up against the big teams when it really needs to count. And going into this, I'm looking at Man United's weaknesses, which is maybe not scoring a lot of goals. So if you're Atletico Madrid, Jen, I want to ask you, how are you trying to beat a Man United that has been really solid defensively, but maybe not scoring as many goals as they need to in the offense?
I think when a team is so defensively sound, you're trying to draw them out. You're trying to make them bite. And I think that's what they've been so disciplined at, is staying within their structure. I think Maya Letitia has been so key at that for such a young captain, leading from the back. But from the contrary, for Madrid going into this game, you're trying to draw them out. You're trying to almost keep the ball in the center of the pitch more than you would expect. Don't go at them straight away. It's like trying to draw them out, trying to tease them out of their positions. And I think because that's what not many teams have really done yet. And then really pick your moments. I think trying to move the ball quickly and switching the play as quickly as possible, trying to really make them run in those moments. And you have to be clinical. That's probably the most cliche thing I'll say, but you might not get many chances against United, but when you do play them, we saw that with Leon and Demorne, and how clinical she was in those moments, just outside the box. It's a half chance, but it's in the back of the net. That's what Atletico Madrid need going into this game, being super clinical in those moments, because that's what the best teams that have beaten Man United have done.
I do wonder if it's funny to call these knockouts when they're 2 legs, but it's like my American brain is broken. It's just I do wonder if like having the two legs is maybe one of those silver linings for Atletico, where it's like, be a little patient, maybe take your time with it. If it is about being as clinical as possible, make sure you're including some of that patience with it as well. And you've got a couple of good scorers on your team. Continue that confidence. Try to find them. Be as collaborative as you can. Can Flama go ahead and pop off? Jensen. It's going to be difficult, I think, but I think patience will probably be key for this one, for sure.
I agree. I think out of the two matches on Thursday, this is going to be the low scoring.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more of a sleeper match, in my opinion. But I'm rocking with United. Sandra, you said United, and Jen?
Yeah, I'm going United.
We're 3 for 3? All right. Well, we'll see if that comes back to bite us in the ass, because usually these predictions go haywire. But we have more to talk about in Europe. Let's talk about WSL. So stick with us after this quick break.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go!
Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
Welcome back into Attacking Third, friends. Well, let's talk about WSL, because there is drama at the top of the table. I mean, let's first kick it off with the Arsenal, Jen, because they're still fighting. They're in 4th place right now with 29 points, coming off of a win over the weekend against Man City. I mean, this is a team that we kind of know likes to peak at the exact right. You're going to feel a little late. Your nerves are going to be on the line. You're questioning if they're going to be able to do it, and they've been able to pull it out. And I think last season with the Champions League, now looking at WSL, beating Man City, are they in peak form right now? Is this the Arsenal that can get it done once again?
I think I love that you kind of kicked off by saying that, because I was talking about that this morning, and their form coming out of this block, right? If you're talking about Champions Cup winners in extra time, they beat Chelsea in the WSL, now beat Man City in the WSL. They can't forget we beat Aston Villa in the FA Cup. What a block that has been. That is like an insanely intense, and Man United, so many games were in that block, but the extra time win, huge wins in the WSL, Chelsea and Man City, just peaking at the right time. I love calling this the business end of the season. Of course, they wouldn't have wanted these extra games, but look, didn't make top 4, and in the playoffs, that's where they're at. But aside from results, guys, the performances have been brilliant. I thought they completely outplayed Man City, and everyone keeps talking about the physicality aspect that they absolutely smashed. You're talking about Bunny Shaw, one of the most physical, best strikers in the WSL, had a quiet game. And Lotte Wubben-Moy absolutely stepped up. I thought Kim Little was absolutely phenomenal again. Slide tackles for days against Viv Miedema, old teammate. They've just been brilliant. And I think one thing I will say, they've utilised their squad really well. The depth that they've had in there, whether it's been substitutions at the right time, Frida Manum starting or coming into the game, Leah Codina coming into midfield, even though she's known as a centre-back, just giving those extra bit of rest to Caldente and Little where needed. So I think over that block, they've really utilised that really well. Even the versatility of Olivia Smith coming into those more central areas and getting goals.
Love her in the 9.
Love her in the 9. The goal.
Love her in the 9. Keep her there.
Yeah, you reckon?
Why do you love her there, Darian?
Because she's a player that she's one of those players that you know what she can do 1v1 going wide. You know what she can size people up. She's confident doing that. Next evolution of this young player's game is, what are your dynamic runs? How are you using your physicality? When are you being able to quick trigger finish or dribble around a keeper? I mean, I think between watching the FIFA Women's Champions Cup final, her goal there, to the goal she had on the weekend against City, she just looks so much more dynamic to me, and they're getting the best out of her in the 9 because she can make those runs wide, filter in players centrally that leaves a lot of space, or she can make those in and out runs up top that is so hard for a center back to stay in position. And also, she is strong. Yeah. I just think I've seen a new level of her when she's at the 9 that we don't get to see when she's isolated in those wing channels. And to me, if you're Arsenal, that is such a strong point for you to get more goals and make teams have to respect and adjust to how you're going to play, as opposed to sitting back and playing the perfect defensive game for 90 plus minutes, which I think is what Arsenal got into last Champions League. Albeit it worked out, but it's just another layer that I'm like, hell yeah. Come on,
Jen, is this also like where we like give a little bit of praise to Coach Renee and maybe making some of those adjustments, you know? Because I mean, like, I think part of, like, to some of your points, Darian, like, part of it too is just like the timing, right? Like, we know these players are talented. Olivia Smith made headlines with some of the record, the transfer fees around her. And it was like, okay, this player's going to come in and be impactful. Like, at the very bare minimum, we knew that. But sometimes, like, when you get a new player, like, in the headlines around them, like, you still need time, right? To just kind of, like, get that cohesiveness, like, with your teammates, build that chemistry, make sure, eventually you will be firing on all cylinders like they kind of are right now. And in the meantime, you got to have your coaches on the sideline figuring out those ways to make sure that your teams still stay, competitive and relevant within those moments. And you shouted the Codina adjustment. I can't wonder if, like, part of that too is making sure that Renee's, like, kind of getting her praise, because she was getting some of that heat early
she
on.
was getting a lot of heat.
Yeah. Well, because I totally agree. I think the adjustments have been great and they have worked. And look, sometimes managers are going to make these decisions and it doesn't work, but you have to give them credit for when it's due. And that's definitely one that stood out for me. Just even knowing Cody as a centre back, like we were there together. And when you sign for any top club, there's never any expectation that you're going to play 90 minutes every single week, especially not at this point of the season. But it's where can you fulfill a role, and whether it's coming on as any position, you just want to get on the pitch. So no, that adjustment I've loved, because it just gives your core players, say your Little and your Caldentes, those extra bit of rest that are so important, especially Leah Volti left. They don't have an out and out six that can sit in front of the back four to ride out those games. That has Codina's a World Cup winner with Spain, like that level of experience to come into a game. So at Champions League level, I can see it being used as well. But yeah, I think the way that they've come out of this block with top games and winning has been brilliant. So they're in form. We all know what they did last year. Not picking up anything domestically. Can't write them off, guys. Like they're peaking at the right time. I'm feeling confident.
That's right, Jen. Let them know.
I will, for the foreseeable.
That's right.
I think something that's actually very underhyped about Arsenal is the trio of Mead, Russo, and Smith up top. We have triple espresso over in the US, but I'm looking at this as a single shot latte. This is a strong front dynamic three. And when you're going against an OH Leuven, who, hey, I'm rocking with Leuven. They've been the darlings of the tournament to me.
You're Leuven.
I'm loving Leuven.
Leuven.
But when I look at those three, I'm like, there's just, especially the form of Mead right now as well, a player that's very underrated and doesn't get her flowers that often. This is a trio that to me is just unstoppable. So if they're all in form and we're seeing this chemistry build, they might be able to do it back to back.
Ooh, you said it.
I'm thinking about my bracket. I'm like, I don't know if I got to change something now that we're talking about it.
Timing might be everything. Sometimes timing is everything.
Who's your winner in your bracket?
Leon.
Of course, yeah. Demone's number one fan over there.
I'm running the Demone fan club, everybody.
Right. I'm the Kim Little fan club. You're the Demone fan club.
Yep.
Number one on my Ballon d'Or watch list. Go see
yes.
There you go. Love it.
A3.
But even in those three you mentioned, there's still Caitlin Ford, Stina Blackstenius. Like it just depends on whatever like structural way they want to set up tactically, which we can geek out another day on that.
Yeah, we'll give you guys a break of geeking out about all of this, but we'll see. So Arsenal still keeping their title race alive. Chelsea, I mean, they're 30 points right now, 9 points behind top of the table City. This side is also dealing with a lot of injuries. Yeah. Just to name a few: Lucy Bronze, Kadisha Buchanan, Mayra Ramirez is still coming back. Captain Bjorn, Neem Charles, Kat Macario, Aggie Beaver-Jones, Millie Bright. thank God this team has the depth that they do, because if they didn't, you would be so concerned with how this team is going to come out this weekend, let alone in Champions League in a couple of weeks, because they get to skip these knockout rounds. But what's going on with this side? We're seeing Sonia Bompastor is re-signed. Paul Green is leaving the club. All of these injuries. Is it panic time for Chelsea, or are we overreacting by this, Sandra?
I don't think it's panic time, but it doesn't feel great either. Like, they're bit right now. Like, listening to you rattle off name after name after name, you're like, you're bit. Not only are you bit, you might be a little hexed. Like, that's a lot of players. But it also, I think, to your point, like, speaks a bit to the makeup of that roster. Oh no, Couture Criminal 8330 says no, let's panic. Forgive me for trying to be a voice of reason, I guess. I don't know.
Come on, QB, let us know.
You know
Keep us
what?
in line.
It's hard to not be a voice of reason when I also look at that roster and I see Alyssa Thompson. It's maybe not a situation that she thought she might have found herself in so soon. I think part of the lure of going to, play with Chelsea is the fact that it's literally Chelsea. You're getting to play in a different league, getting an opportunity to compete in Champions League, and you are doing it in a way where you are not the sole MVP of your team. You are doing it, you're competing alongside other great, like, individual ballers who can go out there and take over a game at a minute's notice. Now, that's obviously shifted a bit because of all of these injuries, but I don't think that's going to stop, Alyssa Thompson from performing her butt off. Like, by no means. I think the way she has kind of found herself already carrying these teams in certain stretches, of games that, I think it's going to bode well. But I mean, we're talking about this, kind of referring to some of that streakiness that we saw, but they've already bounced back with a win, against Spurs. I look ahead at their schedule. I look ahead at their schedule and I'm just kind of like, I just don't think it's time for a panic button. I don't know, but we'll see. Could be
Did
wrong.
it kind of just feel like it was a matter of time before they lost back to back, Jen? I mean, you can only you can't be perfect forever.
I mean, also credit to Man City, right? Like, they're amazing right now.
Yeah, 100. Like, look, we're seeing Man City clear at the top, right? But for Chelsea, I think the thing that would hurt them the most was the back-to-back losses. I think a loss was always, you can say inevitable, but it's football. A loss can happen. But the back-to-back one, I think, would hurt. I think Erin Cuthbert did a really great interview post-match saying that this phase is really hurting. I think the injuries will always hurt a team. I still look at their team and I think it's still phenomenal, though. When I'm looking at their lineup, it's just Ritten Canrig, Lauren James, Cuthbert through the middle, Keira Walsh, one of the best midfielders. And even to come off the bench, you still have Sam Kerr off the bench, Baltimore off the bench.
Yeah.
Like top players. So I think for me it's potentially they've rotated a lot. They've changed formation a lot. Back three, back four is an element of that. They now have a lot of injuries, but they're still trying to do those rotations and just don't have the depth to do it right now. Thankfully, they did finish in top phase in the league phase, so they are not playing Champions League games right now. But I don't know. I think it's a case of dip in confidence. I think Bompastor is what I said, which I was kind of surprised about that. I'm like, with that level of caliber of player, was surprised to hear that. For me, when I look at their losses, they did look a bit tired, but then I've heard people say that about performances of teams I've played in, and I've been like, no, we're not tired. That's not the case. So it's hard to judge that one as well. I think it's a blip, and I think they'll come back. I think they're still in a very good position in the league standings. I don't think it's any cause for concern. I think those players will come back fit. They'll come back. They still have a lot of quality. I love that comment. Lucy Bronze's big missing piece of their identity. I think in terms of we spoke a lot about when characters and experience are missing on the pitch. I think that competitive edge of Lucy Bronze will always be a miss in any team in the world. Of course, they still have other leadership roles in that team, but I don't think it's panic button. I think they'll they're still competing for countless amount of trophies. It's not as if they've been knocked out of cup. They're still competing, so they still have a chance that for this season to still be a very successful one. And you've just had your coach extend their contract. That's always a confidence boost when you're internally. You want to know who your manager is come seasons ahead. So I'm not panicking for them. I still think they have so much quality to go on and do successful things this season.
Panic meter is low on
It's low
Chelsea.
for me. Yeah.
It's very low. All right. Group thought, it's low. Well, let's look at the top of the table. Man City running away with it. They're 39 points right now, just cruising. I mean, I think playing some of the best football we've seen City play in a long time. They're primed to beat Chelsea's title streak right now. And I have to think, we're talking in our production meeting about what if this version of City, this current form that they're in, were playing in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Would they be the best English team in the Champions League?
The best English team in the Champions League?
Yeah, this season.
I find that one so hard to judge, right? Because Man City looks so good this year because they don't have the multi-competition of playing in Europe.
You think that's why? You think that there's less pressure and you can just focus on the league?
There's pressure to win the league, but I think they don't have the amount of games that you're seeing Chelsea and Arsenal have. So they can focus every single week, freshen their legs. Come the weekend, they're competing for the WSL and of course League Cup and FA Cup. So they don't have that added travel. They don't have those added games in the calendar. They've also kept everyone fit. In previous years, I've said this before, Man City have the potential to be the best team in England. But Viv Miedema was injured, Bunny Shaw was injured, Carolyn, love that, was injured as well. Now she's back fit, absolutely flying. Alex Greenwood, their captain, was injured. So now they've got everyone back fit. They're not playing in Champions League. They are the team that everyone is expecting them to be. So I can't wait to see how they get on in Europe. But I still think Chelsea and Arsenal are phenomenal teams. They just have to play across more competitions, so are more likely to have those little dips. But no, I think they've been amazing. They've been incredible to watch apart from this weekend against Arsenal.
I think it's a question we gotta revisit for sure.
Yeah,
Man City in Champions next campaign,
Yeah.
But for right now, they're cutting it up in the league because that's what's in front of them. I think I'm preaching to two legends of the game. Like I don't have to tell you guys. You when you're in your preseasons, when you are having your team meetings, when you are looking ahead at your calendar, you're like, what's in front of us and what are we gonna rack up this year? And for Man City, it was just very specific domestic league titles, and so it's not. I think it's the correlations there in terms of their match, how less maybe match loaded their schedule is compared to maybe some other sides, and how we see Arsenal kind of at a 3 and 4 position, whereas we see Man City, with a lot of comfortability at the top of the table. So I don't know. I think we got to revisit it for sure.
I think. Sorry, Andy,
go ahead. I also wonder with them being at the top of the table, say they do sweep the league this year, what does that mean for next year? You're in Champions League. Do they add even more depth? Is their depth going to be equal to that of an Arsenal and a Chelsea to compete in a Champions League?
They'll need more for sure.
Yeah,
I think Sam Coffey was a brilliant signing for them. She actually came on at halftime against Arsenal, and I was kind of like, yeah, she's getting more minutes. Like she needs to be integrated more. Because I feel like she could really. I mean, I've said it already. She can add so much to that team. I think a huge aspect for last thing I'll say on Man City. Under Gareth Taylor, they were very structured, very possession-based, quite restricted in their play. Andre Jägerlöch has come in and totally changed that. He's instilled this like winning mentality that yes, we still want to play beautiful football, but we want to win matches. And I think Bunny Shaw has made a lot of comments on that, just the mentality shift. And I think that's been a huge key to their success this year. But no, we'll see if they are the best English team next year. We'll see. We like to put it out there. Maybe we'll have another our dream matchups, dream Champions League matches in a segment in the coming future. Who knows? Ladies, this is such a fun show. We've got Champions League, we had news, we're talking WSL and Women's Champions League knockout playoffs kick off tomorrow right here on CBS Sports. You'll see some familiar faces chopping it up about the matches. And don't forget,
A3, this crew will be back this Friday at 11 a.m. to bring you all the latest news and talk it up about Women's Champions League matches that kicked off this week. From Jen, Sandra, Audrey, and Phil, I'm Darian, and this was Attacking Third.